One.
Hello and welcome back to another Red Bull review in partnership with the Big Apple Sports Network. I'm Ronnie Piper and joined by Luke Hume for another defeat. And it was a late one last night. As you can tell by my eyes, I haven't been partying all night. I've not been partying. I went to bed at 4 a.m. And that was only because there was about 30 minutes of stoppage time in the second half, which we'll get into. But how are you, Luke?
I'm good. I didn't watch it last night because it's my first week back in office this week.
I was going to say, you're looking fresh.
Yeah, it was tight. It's 3 time out going back and forth to London 3 days in a row. So I didn't watch it this week. Did I miss anything?
I don't think it was a terrible game, but at the end of the day, you get another 0 points on the road, and Canada hasn't been our best place this season. So
No.
you might as well say, well, I haven't missed a second this season, and I plan to continue that way. But some of us are mad. But before we get into this game, let's get these credits rolled and let's bloody talk about this fixture. So the first thing to talk about was the team, because it was a different system in comparison to the last game. And the team that started was obviously Carlos Coronel in goal, which was much expected. But then 5 for the game, which was quite a unique one. We started Cole Duncan right wing back with Gutman at left wing back. And then we had 3 centre halves of Tom Edwards, Sean Nealis, and Amro Tarek. And then the thing I was most surprised about, John Tolkien took up a midfield position with Sean Davis. Then Clark was playing just in front of them with Kamala and Fabio up top. The thing I was surprised about, if you're going to play a back 5 system and you move your better left back of the season into the centre mid, is quite intriguing because realistically you're playing 6 defenders.
Yeah,
that's quite an interesting one. With obviously good to see Nealis back in the lineup, and I feel sorry a bit for Edwards in this game because he's obviously asked to now play right centre back role. He's played right back, he's played centre back, he's played centre mid, he's played left back, and now he's played right centre back. I wonder if it would have been more intriguing to see him in the midfield alongside Sean Davis in comparison to Tolkien. I don't know what you think about that, Luke.
There's actually a post about this. I think it might have been once Metro. He was talking about should John Tolkien play the midfield more often. I think that is actually where a lot of people expect he will end up in his career. I don't see it personally. I think he's a good left back. And the real question is, did Zuba Galaxy brain it? And I think there's a real possibility he did. I think it's no doubt to say the pressure is starting to get is on Zuba now. With 2 months down, it looked like we might not make our first playoff series for 11 years now, since 2009. That's not good. Like, for Red Bull to not make the playoffs, for me, that's when you push the alarm button. Something seriously wrong here.
And yeah, 100%. And I think just looking at obviously we did fall to a 2-1 defeat, late hands of a Wanyama penalty. But now after that defeat, we are 7 points behind Montreal now. Obviously, we still got a game in hand on them, but 7 points to Montreal is a big gap. And then I was looking at the depressing side of how many points we were away from the other team from New York, who likes to play in New Jersey, or on a baseball field. And they're now on 31 points and we're on 19. So it's 12 points difference. We played the same games. And
I
it's if we beat them, that's still 9 points.
I think the sad reality is, for me, NYCFC have the only talent in the East that can push Revs all the way. Orlando are very good, but they've been inconsistent at times. For me, the Smurfs, as we like to call them, are the only team that can push them all the way. They're going to make the playoffs. They're going really well. Red Bulls are struggling, let's say the least. It's not going to plan. We had the whole transfer window. We've done very little. We put one defender in who's not even. I don't know. I don't think is he arrived yet? I don't think he hasn't even arrived. I don't think he's got.
He's
He's not
still
got
not
his
in
visa
training
yet.
now.
Not in training. He's probably not going to see a pitch before September. That's been also mixed in September. And I think the pressure is really on Gareth Stuber now. Like they paid £2 million for this coach, and I backed him in that transfer window. People can say Red Bull didn't back him. They did. They paid 5.5 million for Kamala alone. They backed him, and I think the real question you've got to ask now is the players we brought in not lived up to expectations? And I think that's a fair assumption now. Like,
No,
I don't
yeah,
think many
100%
of the
agree.
players Kevin Fairwell brought in. I think Kevin Fairwell has done a good job since he's came in. I think he's been better than he's shown. He knows more than Hamlet does. But some of the players we brought in that haven't lived up to what we expected them for. I think the prime example is Fabio. He was brought in as a solution to our striking issues. Like we haven't had that lethal striker since BWP. He took ages to score a goal. But at that point, he was assistant. Then he scored a couple of goals. He's not doing either now. He's on loan. Will we take his option out to buy him? I seriously doubt he'll be here next season. Might be wrong. I don't know what you think about that, Ronnie.
Yeah, I think with Fabio, obviously, you brought in a player from the third division of Brazilian football, and it's sometimes I know Red Bulls have this thing for going for South American players, and fully understandable because some of them are very good. But what we need is goal scorers, and we haven't got that at the moment. I'm a big fan of Patrick Kamala, and he's getting goals at the moment, but he can't do it all by himself. He needs another person up there. If they're playing two up front, who can put the ball in the back of the net, and Fabio can either be unbelievable in a game or be a bystander. And I think last night was quite a true testament to that. Like he had an okay chance. Otherwise from that, I didn't really see him much in the 83 minutes that he played because he come off for Royer. And when that's the thing of I'm just going to go through like the subs what they made, and I think they were quite intriguing because at halftime they took off Nealis and Tolkien and brought on Yearwood and Caceres. So obviously he's thought, hold on, this system's not really working that I've played the back five in. So he's then gone back to the original back four, where Nealis has dropped out, Edwards and Tarek have gone centre halves. But I think Yearwood's one of these at the moment where he's so in and out of the team that he's not been able to find a rhythm at all. And every time he comes on the pitch, he does look a bit rusty. And I don't know if it's partly him to blame, maybe Struber's to blame, or a bit of everything, but it's hard to expect something from a player when you barely give him any chance at all. And like poor Sean Davis in midfield, I've seen quite a few people talk about him in the past few days, but he's working his socks off in that midfield. He's playing every single minute that he can play with no break at all. And it's not easy that role by yourself all the time. Okay, he had help from Tolkien. And then second half, you can arguably say he had help from Caceres and Yearwood, but they won't be further up the pitch. And he's doing it all by himself. Obviously, they were the two subs at half time. Then in the 67th minute, Caden Clark come off and Omir Fernandez come on. 75th minute, Patrick Kamala come off, Tom Barlow come on. And then in the 83rd minute, Fabio come off and Royer come on. And it's one of them that you're looking at the five players who come on was Caceres, Yearwood, Omir Fernandez, Tom Barlow and Danny Royer. And arguably all five didn't do anything. Like it's
also arguably all five might not be in next season, or a good proportion of them. So I like Royer. It's common knowledge, not official. Yeah. Danny Royer won't be in next season.
No,
that's common sense. Tom Barlow, I very much doubt he'll be here next season. I believe his contract is up this year, and he's not really done a lot to make go like, oh my god, we need something to new contract, has he? He's not scoring goals, but he's a striker. He's not assisting them either. Fernandez, he's barely played this year. He doesn't seem to be one of Stuber's guys. I don't see it. And who else is it? Sorry.
So Royer, Barlow, Omir Fernandez, Drew Yearwood was the other one.
Yearwood. I think Drew Yearwood will be here next season. I don't know if he should be, but I think he's lived up to his expectation. I know he's not a DP now, but we signed him with a DP. Now he's on the under-22 initiative. It's been quite a poor time, but I think he will be here because of that. He's on that under-22 initiative. It's cheaper for the Red Bulls. And who was the last one?
Caceres.
So he will be here. That's pretty obvious. But since coming back from Copa America, not being the same, has he?
No, quite a few players are just looking tired at the moment.
Yeah.
Like
I looked up. I've got some stats from Fabio quickly. So Fabio played 17 games. 17 games. He started 17 of them. So 2 sub appearances. He scored 3 goals and 5 assists. It's not a great return, is it? For a striker.
You're wanting, after at least going into near enough 20 games in a season, you want your striker to be getting in the area of 8+ goals at a minimum, but preferably 1 and 2 at least.
Say we're not even say he only has 5 goals, but say he has 10 assists. You go, well, he's assisting quite a few, so he still can be not 5 or 6. So that's only 5 or 6 and 3 goals. It's only 8 GNA. That's not a lot.
And a lot of them come on right at the beginning as well.
Yeah, we had 4 assists in the first 3 game weeks. Just since then, he got 1 assist. So he, spoiler alert, he probably won't be in next year because I imagine he'll cost a bit. I don't know, but I can't see his team let him go cheaply. Obviously, Red Bull of his team is quite a big talent.
100%.
We also look at. I'm trying to find Kamala on here, but I can't. Kamala in comparison. So he's obviously a young DP. He played 15 games, 4 goals, 4 assists. That's not a great record, is it?
It's not. Neither of them are brilliant, but the actual impact on the pitch. I think on another season, each of them might have had 4 or 5 more goals and 4 or 5 more assists. But it's when it's sometimes just not going your way. It's not going your way, and you need gritty players that are gonna get it in the ball in the back of the net. And sadly, it's not really happening at the moment. But if we go into our slides, we picked out some few steals from the game to talk about, and obviously the first one there's no question about how this was a penalty. It's 100% a penalty. Gutman was just completely wiped out, even though they tried to get a foul for a previous offence just a bit up the pitch. Definite foul from Gutman. He played well, got the penalty. Then I was quite intrigued to see who was going to go on the penalty. But if we go to the next slide, obviously Klimala steps up for it. And it was a lovely finish. Slots it to the right, the keeper. Keeper goes the other way. Then Klimala proceeds to go and stand in front of the Montreal fans behind the goal and starts winding them up, which was good to see. I like seeing that, but in the long run, it didn't help all the beer cans getting thrown at him. It wasn't the most smartest idea, but oh well. And then if we move on to the next slide and we start looking at the Ibrahim goal, this is the first slide that I've got here, and I thought this was quite an interesting one because how we've got the back 4 here. So we've got Gutman at the bottom of your screen here, then Tarek next to the man on the floor, Edwards just to the right of him, and then Carl Duncan. So I know it's a counter attack, and your back 4 is pretty straight line, not in the right direction. And obviously, because Carl Duncan's come over to cover the man, he's left that right back slot so empty at the moment. So Sean Davis is trying to recover. So I don't have anything to say about Duncan really here. It could be a question of, is someone coming back to cover? Because obviously this was in the 70th minute. Should have a Caceres or a Caceres be covering this? Maybe. But I think that's more just defensive shape, and maybe with the back 5 in the first half, it could have been something that was sorted out. But if we go to the next slide, Carl Duncan actually does quite a good job here. So he gets back and covers and forces the man out wide. However, the only problem with this is, obviously, where you can see Carl Duncan's positioning, he's covering the left of the ball. And the odds of him, the person crossing this, actually pulling it back to number 19 on the edge of the box, number 30 is quite low. He's going to be trying to find 15 or 27 in the box. Yeah. And if you're looking at this, it's not, I wouldn't say this is bad defending at all, because Obviously, maybe Duncan should be able to cover this ball, but the only question I have here is where you can see Edwards and Amro Tarek. So they're quite straight on at the front post, and obviously Gutman's forced in the middle to cover Ibrahim. So if we go to the next slide, we'll see that the ball it's a good ball. It's a great header, to be fair. It looks like a fish out of water. It's like a salmon there. Look, absolutely, it's a great header. But it's a question of, because obviously Tarek should be the one behind Edwards, but Edwards has not really put on a tackle at all there. And obviously Gutman's tried to get there and couldn't. But I've got to say, it's a great header. It was a good ball in, great header. But maybe Carl Duncan could have done a little bit more to stop the cross coming in. But he done well in the first place to force him out wide. And then here, Edwards, he's got caught in no man's land. And then obviously now we're moving on to the absolute fiasco of the penalty. Obviously, everyone's been a bit critical of Amro Tarek and thing, but I'm gonna actually say something, and I might not say it much to say, I actually feel sorry for him a bit because the ball has not left that striker's foot yet. Amro Tarek is on the floor. His arm is in a natural position. So what my question is to the referee is, like, if it's in a natural position, what's he meant to do? Like, are you meant to slide in with your hands in your pocket? That's never going to happen. Never going to happen. That's just not human nature. So, like, the striker here, he's looked over and he said, "Oh, look, Tarek's sliding in," so he's got to play it back, and it hits his arm on the floor. I don't know if you agree, Luke, but what is Tarek meant to do with his arm there? Is he meant to put it down his shorts? Is he meant to put it in his shirt? What's he meant to do?
So this is now changing the Premier League for this season, hasn't it?
Yeah.
This is no longer be a penalty. So imagine normally when you wait for the Premier League change the rules, and that seems to follow suit.
Yeah,
how it normally seems to work. So I imagine this time next year this probably won't be a penalty, but I don't get all this penalty. All these handballs are so confusing nowadays. Like,
yeah, 100% agree. And
it used to be deliberate handball. It was a handball. Now it's if your arm's here, it's a handball. It gets ruining the game. It is.
Yeah, look, if you look at Tarek here, he's sliding in to cut the cross out. It's not like he's going arm first to stop the ball. I don't see what a defender is meant to do here. Like, if I'm a defender and when I do play football, I play at the back. If I'm sliding in, it's natural that one of your arms goes behind you just to guide you. So, like, that's a natural position. Like, I know some people might disagree, and I'd like to see what other people's thoughts are, but I'm personally saying this. I don't think this is a penalty. I think it's ludicrous how a defender can slide and the player's kicked against his hand.
I think it's a very light penalty, isn't it?
Oh, 100%.
Very soft. But
it's
football. If we got given this penalty, we'd be delighted. But if you get given against you, you'd be disappointed. It's one of the things in football. Obviously, the whole thing about Tarek, it's no secret he wanted to leave the club to go back to, was it Egypt? You want to go? No, Cyprus. Sorry,
Cyprus. Yeah, AAL.
Obviously, Red Bull did tell him like he's a move. So because of injury crisis, and we know he's not happy still being there. So he won't be in that season either, probably. Yeah.
I think Tarek said, like, in a few games, I actually don't think he played too bad last night, Amro Tarek. I think he showed good turn of speed at certain points to recover, and I think he's actually been playing all right. I do feel sorry for him. And then, right, well, I'm gonna put the stoppage time board up here. Okay, so I'm gonna put 20 minutes up because we're gonna be talking about this one, and just to clear out, the rule is if once the ball is kicked, if the goalie is off his line prior to the ball being kicked, it's a retake. That's just the rule. That's how it is. So the first one, I've got no complaints. As you can see, Carlos Coronel, both feet are off the floor. So what we see a lot in the Euros and the Olympics was now keepers, rather than starting on the spot, are starting a step behind it. Behind the line. They're starting a step behind the line. So that natural first step, rather than going out of the goal, it's going onto the line, which is fine. And obviously, I think that's it was going to trickle, obviously, around the world and was done quite well at the Euros and the Olympics. But obviously, saves it. And I'm like, yes, get in. And then I'm like, hold on, it's going VAR. Okay, he's off his line. And then this is the one I have the problem with. And I know quite a few people on Twitter had the same thing, and I was talking to a few about it. So, okay, yes, a foul or an obstruction happens in the box, and a penalty kick is designed basically to give a team a goal. Like, they're the rules. However, if a striker like this is running up to a goal like this, fair enough. Like at the moment, Coronel's on his line. He thinks he's going to strike that ball. If we go to the next slide, this is where I have the issue with this one. He stutters, right?
Yeah.
So by the time he stutters, Coronel thinks he's shooting then. So he steps off his line. As you can tell by Duncan's positioning as well, he thought he was taking it because he's already in the box as well. But if a player is on run up to the ball and he slows down, what is the keeper meant to do? Just not move, and then he's never going to save it unless he's literally kicked at his feet. It's one of them that if they want keepers to even have a 1% chance of saving a penalty, they've got to stop the starter run-ups. I know
Actually,
a lot of.
anyway.
Oh, it's
So
ridiculous.
so
I think,
ridiculous.
yeah, I
Getting
think one of the
worked on
best
most of the
penalty
time.
takers, yeah, one of the best penalty takers in the world at doing this is Jorginho for Chelsea. But it's ludicrous how he gets away with it because he does this like skip and a hop, and it's what's a keeper meant to do when he's not allowed to come off the line, but a striker's allowed to near enough go to like snail pace to wait for the keeper to come off the line. And what I tweeted out last night was, so for example, say this one here, if he scores this, it's given.
You on the side.
If you just go one back, it's fine. So if he scores that one, Coronel's off his line, but it's given. Okay, fair enough. But if Coronel saves it, it's retaken. It's one of them that the striker gets a second chance. Well, in Montreal chance, they get three players get three chances, kind of thing. But if a striker misses a penalty and the keeper's off his line, it's a retake. But if the keeper's off the line and he scores the penalty, it's a goal.
Yeah.
So the odds are always going to be in favour of the attacking team on penalties. And then you can't go off the line as well. And obviously with VAR, there's no getting away way of getting off your line. It should be a thing of, and I think a lot of people are doing it now, is the linesman's job on a penalty is to check the goalkeepers on the line. So let them do it by the naked eye and not VAR, because we know how the VAR works, especially like in the Premier League last season. Obviously, they've made changes this year that 1 millimeter, they can put it down to a millimeter. So it could be a situation where a keeper takes 20 penalties. Like, obviously, you got a yellow card for the second one. It was technically meant to get a yellow card for the first one, which could have been interesting. And then obviously he saves this one as well. Red Bull players laughing and joking, go up to the ref saying, "Don't you want to look at your screen?" Which he did. And then if we go on to the next slide, which was the last one, which actually in the end, this penalty was taken in the 98th minute. And Coronel goes from one extreme to the other, literally just plants his feet on the line to make sure that he's not going anywhere, gets a hand to it, and arguably could have done better on this one. Yeah. But sadly, Wanyama did put it in to make it 2-1. And then by then, you're not going to, after all that fiasco, you're not going to turn around at 2-1. No. And the game got a bit fiery then. And obviously, there was a bit of a stoppage after the goal because all the Montreal fans decided to throw all their beer cans at the Red Bull players and on the pitch, which is not acceptable. Even if that was Red Bull fans, I'd be saying it's not acceptable.
No, it's not acceptable.
I did feel sorry for the Montreal player who was on their bench. It was a young 18-year-old who was told to go and clear up all the cans. I thought, that's definitely not his duty. But yeah, so there was a 2-minute stoppage while one of the Montreal subs ran onto the pitch and kicked all the cans off the pitch. And then right at the end, like there was a few tackles going in. Tom Edwards absolutely bodied someone who then was on the pitch screaming for about 10 minutes, which hopefully he's all right. I don't know if he's dislocated his shoulder or whatnot, but yeah, it was obviously we fought for 2-1 defeat, and we're going to look forward. I'll say look forward. I can't say them words at the moment. We're going to look to the next couple of games quickly and just briefly. So we'll talk about it more in our pod this week. But up next, this midweek is Columbus Crew, which is a ginormous game. But then it's not even like there's a rest break because then at the next weekend we're playing NYCFC, and in the week where we play Montreal, Columbus Crew, and NYCFC, it's the season definer. It's we're 0 out of 3 points so far, and we've got Columbus, who obviously are right up in the last playoff spots. So that's the tester. If you lose to them and you're further 3 points away from them, it's near enough curtains, and
I think you can afford to lose to NYCFC as long as you win the crew game. But getting 0 points out of 6, season's over. Like, let's be honest, Red Bulls are not catching NYCFC. It's not.
No.
But Red Bulls can catch crew. It's not going to be easy, but they can catch them, and that starts with winning down
100%. I'm looking. So I'm looking at it now, and obviously, so far this season, both Columbus and Red Bulls played 18 matches. They've won 6, we've won 5. They've drawn 6, we've drawn 4. Then they've lost 6, we've lost 9. Both have -2 goal difference. So it's 5 points apiece, like 5 points, but they're better off at the moment. So if you're looking at our fixture and you say, yes, okay, like we win this game, right?
You've got a good chance.
Well, it's literally, it is
down to 2 points. What could be, this could be Red Bull saving grace this season, and they've got a 4-match home stand at Red Bull Arena.
Yeah.
And it's been our away form that's done this season. Our away form has been woeful. We won 1 game this year, I think, on the road.
Yeah, I think we've lost 6 or 7 defeats.
Too many. Now, Our home form is good.
Yeah.
If you win or don't lose majority of these home games, that could save our season. I mean, by definition, I mean by save our season, I mean getting the playoffs. That is a realistic game now. I know when we had Mark Fitzkin on, we were talking about maybe we can get a home playoff place. That's not happening now. It is to get 7th in the playoffs now.
Yeah.
That is the aim of this season now. If we don't, you've got no other words for me to say if this season has been a failure.
So just touching on that 4-game homestand. So we have Columbus, which is on I'm going to say all in our dates, but it's the 19th for us, the 18th in America. NYCFC is the 22nd for us, but the 21st in the States. Then we have Chicago, which is the 28th, and then it finishes with DC, which is the 12th for us, the 11th in America. So out of DC, Chicago, NYCFC, and Columbus, obviously that's 12 points to play for. And I know they're tricky games. There's a couple of derby, like you've got the NYCFC game, you've got Columbus in there. Chicago have just played, and DC is always a fiery game. I'm going to say it now. We've got 4 games at home, and in previous years, we would be expecting at least 9 points out of them 4 games.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm going to be quite bold, and I'm not going to change my expectations. I think home form, it's a mental thing. When people come for Red Bull Arena, they know we play well there, and it's a tricky place to come to, especially in the South Ward, gets everyone going. They're brilliant for 90 minutes. So, obviously, if I'm looking at which one's there, and you don't want to lose any of the games, but you particularly can't lose the Columbus game. And then you look at the NYCFC game, it's another one you're like, realistically, you don't want to lose against them.
Bragging rights, but
yeah, it's one of them that I would sacrifice that to win the other 2.
Losing, and I'll try to losing that and getting the playoffs. Because at the moment, people go like, "Oh, we're getting a playoffs, we're getting knocked round." The playoffs is a lottery.
Yeah,
anything can happen in the playoffs. Like in 2008, Red Bulls went to the 4th seed in the West. In the league we weren't even bloody in. And they went all the way to the MLS Cup final. We've seen teams go from that seed to the final. MLS Cup, anything can happen. It's a crapshoot. Let's be quite honest. It's a crapshoot. And
100%.
If we get in there, there's no reason why you can't get on a good run and somehow get to the final. And that's what 4 teams do. They find a way to win.
No, 100%. Excuse me. And I think just touching on that, obviously our usual podcast will be out this Friday where we'll be looking back at the Columbus Crew game. Hopefully we're talking about 3 points, and obviously looking forward to the big Hudson River derby. We're hopefully being joined by the UK NYCFC, which would be quite interesting to say the least, but it'd be on good behaviour because we're making. But it's been I always say it's been a pleasure. It's always great talking about Red Bulls. It's just hopefully one of these Red Bull reviews will be about a win. That's what I'm hoping.
It might be one. We might get one win by the end of the season, hopefully.
Yeah, maybe one. But no, thanks for everyone for watching along. Thank you, Luke, for joining me this morning. I feel like I've just been asleep, but oh well, it's always great fun watching Red Bulls. And we will be joining you this Friday at the usual time, 9 o'clock British Summer Time or 4 o'clock Eastern Time for our podcast. If anyone's got any questions about this, drop them in the comments below or drop us a comment on Twitter and we'll answer it in our podcast. But until next time, let's beat the crew and we'll see you Friday. Come on, you Red Bulls.
See you later.
See ya.